Good evening, families, and welcome to tonight's session on career and college success with Christy Smith. We are excited that you are joining us this evening, and just wanted to start off with a poll. One poll is about grade level, or if we just have parents on the line with no scholars. And then the other poll is in terms of your career or job situation at this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull those polls up because that will again give Christy some information that she can utilize as part of tonight's conversation. All right, so these are the results. So you got high schoolers, majority, we got elementary, and then we have parents and guardians that are part of the call as well. All right, so the second poll asks the question, please identify your current status. Could be multiple answers. Not working, working 40 hours per week, working a limited schedule, maybe 15 to 25 hours per week, looking for a new job, or taking college classes to start a new career. So go ahead, I'm gonna launch that poll. And if you can go ahead and give us some responses as well. So we have a number of not working, and some of you are students, so I understand that. Working 40 hours a week, about 4 individuals, limited schedule, 2 looking for a new job, 3 individuals, and then taking some courses to start a new career. Okay. Again, this just gives Christy some information as she's going to be discussing today's topic. Now, for many of you, you picked up books or we delivered books to you. If you did not receive a book, or you have never taken this class before, just note in the chat and we will certainly get a workbook to you because it's a great resource to have. And you want to make sure that you keep that resource because it's information that can be used today, but can be used 5 years from now or a year from now as your situation may change. And I know that Christy is is starting right now to do a rewrite or to add new components to the book, to update it. So certainly that will be great information as well. But again, it's a great resource. And she's going to be going through a number of components tonight. Not going to be covering the entire book because that's a long course that she uses to teach us, a semester class that she uses for this particular book. We're getting the benefit of being able to have access to that and all the resources that she's put together. So one of the things I know that, let's see, I know Lacey Bowman, a couple of your I think your boys are going to be on a different line. Can you change the name on the screen so that I'll know who's who? So if you can rename, because I've got 2 Lacey Bowmans, if you can just hover over your picture or hover over your name, see the 3 dots, and then just change the name to who your boys, because when we put you in breakout sessions, I just need to know who's who. So if you can do that, that would be awesome, awesome. Okay, so once they come in, just rename yourself, and that way I'll know who's who, and I can put you in the appropriate breakout room. And Sheena, I believe you're on the phone line, so I will go ahead and just rename you as well. Okay. All right. So families, it is my pleasure to introduce Christy Smith, who has been working with us for a number of years, really just helping to provide some practical and useful tips of the trade in regard to career and college. And certainly during our state that we're in right now, there are many that are needing to shift careers and look for other job opportunities. And then our students may need to consider some of those types of options as they begin their college career and moving forward in that arena as well. So without any further ado, Christy, you're on.
All right, thank you so much, Deborah. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to walk you through some of my book that I have written specifically for things like this. You know, as I was in high school and college, everybody kept asking me, you know, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. Why do I have to decide right now? And everyone said, go to college. And so I did, but I didn't really know what was in my heart. And I want to ask you some questions to kind of help you find out, you know, what is in your heart and to make a choice that's going to lead to success. And so my first question to you is, what is success? You know, we talk about this practical guide, you know, to college and career success, but, you know, what does it mean to you? So I'm going to jump right in and put you guys into a breakout session so that you can discuss that with your group, and that will help us really look at, okay, what is it that we're trying to achieve? And then we'll dive right in. So what is success? What does it mean to you?
All right, welcome back, everyone. So in breakout room 1, Angela, can you open your mic and share with us what your group talked about?
We talked about to define success is meeting our long-term goals into a career.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that, and I forgot there was other gentleman. I forgot what he had said. Yeah,
Bradley?
but yeah.
Bradley, you want to share?
Sure. I said that success to me was finding something that you really like to do and doing it to the best of your ability.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. All right, and group number 2, Eliza, can you share for us?
I was trying to make my son share and he wouldn't do it. So I'll tell you what he said that I was proud of him for. So he was talking about making sure he's successful, kind of along the lines of what was just shared. He doesn't want to just work a 9 to 5 without purpose behind it. He wants to really be passionate about what he's doing. But then he also wants to use that passion and use his job to help others. And that's, as a mom, when I was like, oh, I was so proud. But the other folks in the group also talked about just, you know, their family first, you know, and really looking at what makes your family flow. The one gal, I'm trying to see if I can remember her name. I'm sorry. She encouraged her son to go to college, and he's doing that and knows he needs to be successful in that because he watches how she and her husband struggled. So kind of just coming together as a family unit to elevate each other and, you know, work together to be happy.
Okay, all righty, thank you. Let's see, breakout room 3, Hector. Well, let's see.
Is Hector in the bathroom?
All right.
Let's go there. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, technical difficulties. So pretty much what everyone else was saying is pretty much kind of achieving those goals. And goals is not always, you know, getting that perfect job. It could be other things, you know. One lady was saying is like kind of being a mom. So yeah, just maintaining a household. So yeah, kind of meeting your goals pretty much is what everyone else was kind of saying.
Okay, thank you. Breakout room 4, Susan.
She said her microphone is broken.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Sheena.
She did chat though. Did you see it?
Oh, she put it in the chat. Okay. Okay. Success is being in a sweet spot where you are fulfilled. Okay. Awesome. Excellent. Okay. So those are your 4 groups, Miss Christie.
All right, awesome. Wow, I love this. So I wrote them all down because I just want to touch on each one of those. Success to each person is just so different. You know, it means something different to everybody. And so my challenge to you is really to look at, what does success mean to you? Is it that, you know, is it that fulfillment? To me, it's fulfillment on how I spend my time. And, you know, a lot of people have a job where they don't feel fulfilled. And it's one of those statistical things where only 13%, according to Gallup, are fulfilled in what they do, and they really feel like, you know, like they're making a difference. They have purpose. I love that idea, purpose and passion. And it doesn't have to be that way. You know, everyone has a choice. And so what can you do to love what you do, even if it's just one little piece of it, and to be grateful for any piece that you have. The great thing about being a high school student is that you have the ability right now to really look and see, you know, what's out there and find something that's fulfilling. And everyone has a choice, no matter how old or young you are. I always tell my students that, you know, if they come and visit me in 10 years and I'm one of those old grumpy teachers and I'm just like, and I'm not smiling anymore, to let me know, because I need to make a change. And so fulfillment is really important. And so I'm going to ask you through the course of this workshop to really find out how to meet yours. What is going to be your fulfillment? Is it taking care of your family? Is it, you know, finding purpose and passion? What is it? You know, so we're going to look at, we're going to go ahead and look through some pages of the book. And I hope that you use this and keep it. I've been teaching this class since 2008. And I've adapted all the things that I have been teaching over the years into this book so that people who don't have the opportunity to take my class at Colorado Early Colleges will have the ability to have this information and to use it. And you can go back and visit it, just as many of my students have, as life changes, because life is a roller coaster and you just never know what ups and downs it's going to bring you. So let's go ahead and turn to page 13, if you would, please. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and go through this workshop so that I don't get off track. And so we're going through the next step, our practical guide to college and career success. There's me still smiling, feeling fulfilled for what I do. Wasn't always that way. It took me a long time to find my journey, and I think that the journey is really important. And as you go through your journey, you'll learn where you want to be and what you like and what you don't like. So we're on page we're on page 13. And so what I want to challenge you to do is think about what would make you feel fulfilled, what would make you happy in your job. So you're thinking about, okay, this is going to be my career success. College success is determined upon, you know, the journey to get there, right? And so we're more successful in college if we have something that is driving us, something that is pushing us towards success. So what are these career values that you might have? Go ahead through page 13 and 14 and mark as many as you want. What are the things that are really important to you? And then our ultimate goal is to pick your top 5. So you can really say, all right, you know what? I wish I could have it all, but sometimes we have to sacrifice some things. So commitment and identity. Commitment and identity is really about, like, you know, having a title. So for instance, you take on the identity of doctor. I am a doctor, and that's important to you to have that kind of title. Justice and fairness, right? Fighting for what is right. Clothing, I think, is a really interesting one. That can really determine upon what it is that's really important to you and how you want to dress. How do you want to showcase yourself? I have a niece who has 27 piercings, and she says that, you know what, she needs to be her, and it's important for her to be her, and she is going to base her job based upon who she is. And so what she wears and how she presents herself is important to her identity. Equality is important to you to have that or fight for it. Morals and ethics, not being having to sacrifice any of those. Do you want to have leadership? Is diversity important? Education and training. Are you a lifelong learner? Do you like education and training? Or maybe on the flip side, do you not want to go through a ton of education to get where you are? So you can kind of take that one how you want to as well. Communication. Is it ingrained in you to communicate? One of the things that was really important to me as I was choosing my path, and this was actually my fourth career, I believe. Communication has always been one of those things. I'm a talker and I must talk. So that's important. Independence. Do you like to work on your own? Do you love a challenge? Do you get bored? Do you need to have variety? My husband loves what he does because he has something different. He's always learning something new. He has changes every single day. And personally, that would make me crazy. Making a difference, right? Do you need to make a difference in the world? Do you need to feel like you've helped someone or changed something? Flexibility in your schedule or in what you do. Your schedule. You work as a nurse. I mean, you work, sometimes the night shift. Advancement. Moving up. Professionalism. Do you want to work, and wear a suit and tie, or work in a place where it's very professional? Safety. Are you not willing to risk your safety? Our firefighters and police officers risk their safety every day. Stress. Do you not want to have an overabundance of stress? Personally, I love stress. I love to be under stress. I love to be busy all the time. Order. Management. Do you want to be part of management, or is it important for your manager? Serenity would be that peace. Prestige or power. Do you want to be in charge? The people that you work with, is that important to your team? Do you need to be able to have the ability to use creativity? Do you like to have benefits such as health insurance, retirement? Are there any kind of perks that you would like to have, discounts and such? Location. Not every job is available in every part of the country. Are you willing to relocate, or maybe absolutely not? My family is here, and I'm absolutely not okay with moving. I want to be with my family, and so that's important to me to not relocate. Accomplishment. Do you need to feel like you've made a difference every single day? Do you want to have fun or adventure? The requirements to get there. Is it super long? Is it something that you're willing to do? Stability and demand, of course, especially in this time in our lives. There's going to be a stable job, and sometimes we just need to be flexible in what we're doing. But boy, wouldn't it be nice to have some job stability and some feeling of security?
Chrissy, there's a question in the chat. What is the difference between order and management?
So order is kind of like if you, I don't know, like you must have a very set way of doing things every day, and everything is in its place. And then management is really more about, I don't know, maybe your supervisors, how you're managed on a daily basis. Are you able to kind of be more independent? Are you, micromanaged? Anybody who's ever had a bad manager might choose management. Does that make sense? I hope. All right. I hope that answers your question. Technology. Do you love to be part of technology? This is the age of technology. Do you want to be part of the up and coming? Travel. Is it important to you to travel in your job, or maybe not to? Family and family time. Homework. homework is actually something that teachers sacrifice, right? So if a teacher gives homework, guess what? They're going to have to grade it. So I'm getting smarter in how I am assigning things because I don't want to have homework either. Because I want to have that family time. So that's important. And of course, continuing education. As the world changes, we need to keep up with what is going on. Are you willing to continue, or is that important to you to be a lifelong learner? All right. So I'm going to come back so I can say hello, and just kind of see what your thoughts are on a couple of those. So what do you think are a couple that you are just absolutely not willing to sacrifice? I'm going to call on somebody. How about Bradley? Bradley Bowman, are you willing to share? What are a couple you absolutely are not willing to sacrifice?
My time. That's one of them.
Like time to yourself. Okay, good. So in your, in your job pursuit, you got to choose something where it's either going to be flexible hours or, hey, become a teacher and then you get the summer off. Right, good. So time. How about Eliza? What is something that's important to you on that list?
We missed who you called on. I'm sorry.
Oh, Eliza.
Yep, that would be the awkward silence. That was our fault. Sorry. I'm going to let Zion take. What do you want to?
Comfort.
What do you mean by that?
So like what I'm able to wear, and my schedule too, like what times I work.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So my challenge to you is to use some things as a filter. As you go through, and we're going to kind of dive into some career research. And I'm going to make sure that I'm good on time here because I could take, this is a whole, I could take a whole semester. So I'm going to try to get ahead here. All right. But anyway, so use that as a filter. These are the most important things to you. So as you're looking for a career, don't just ask yourself the basic questions of what am I interested in? What am I good at? But also, what are these things that are going to matter to you on a daily basis? These things are sometimes often not thought about until it's too late. When I made my career choice, my first career, I was going to be a reporter. And when I started doing the job, I absolutely hated it because I didn't think about any of these career values. None of them were met. And I was a pretty miserable person. I don't know about you guys, but have you noticed that the news is kind of negative? And I am not a negative person in any way, and it was killing my soul, and a lot of other things. And so I changed my mind. And my whole life, my mom told me I should be a teacher, and I didn't listen to her because my mom told me to do it. And so I just kind of fell into it because of passion and because of purpose, because of the mistakes that I've made. And sometimes passion and purpose comes from mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes and to fail sometimes. All right. But anyway, so as we go through this, we're going to look at that as a filter. Please turn to page 15. Page 15 is really all about your strengths, right? So you are going to look at what you're good at. What are your strengths so that you can use your special gifts, because everybody has something. What is it that you have? Believe in yourself. And the first thing you've got to do when you believe in yourself is to ask other people what they see inside of you, because sometimes they have a different perception and you may not see it. Like again, my mom told me these things my whole time growing up, that I should do these things. And she told me what my strengths were, and I wish I would have listened, right? Well, how many times can we say, I wish I would have listened to my mother? I'm so sorry. All right, so your strengths. So you guys can do this kind of in your own time and really look at, what are those things? Ask other people who know you well, hey, what do you think I'm good at? Because they will point those things out and see you differently than you see yourself. On page 17, your personality. You are your own person, and again, you have those special gifts. I really like this one on page 17, this activity. Circle the ones that sound most like you. And these are some of these defining characteristics that I bet you will point you in the right direction. Are you a communicator? Are you a problem solver? Are you somebody who likes to take stuff apart and then try to put it back together? Are you somebody who is a planner? Do you love to set goals and plan things? Are you really great at telling other people what to do? Are you that manager? Are you a logical thinker, an entertainer, relationship builder? Are you the person who everybody comes and talks to? Are you a great listener? You can be multiple of these things. So circle as many as you want. All right, so your personality. There's also a Myers-Briggs test on page 18 that will give you some more insight. All right, we're gonna skip ahead and I'm gonna share my screen with you again. We're gonna get into the nuts and bolts of how to do some research and how to look at some of these important things. So this will keep me on track. There we go. So your strengths, very important. Find out who you are. And then, especially in today's world, we're going to skip to page 34. We need to take into consideration job outlook. So what's the outlook for your for careers that are out there? You know, we all want to have some stability. We all want to have some some security in our jobs. So prepare for something that's going to be in demand in the future. One of those things, as you can see in this chart on the side, is energy, right? So as we are transitioning from fossil fuel, we are going to start using more and more solar energy, wind energy, and then a lot of these things, of course, have to do with healthcare. Oh my goodness gracious, so many careers in healthcare, and then technology. So I'm going to show you where to find some of this research, and you're going to turn to page 37. So on page 37, we can see this My Next Move. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Show you what it looks like here, if I can get there. On My Next Move, there is a lovely way to kind of see what it is that you like to do. And so if you look at this purple section down here, tell us what you like to do. If you start that, it'll give you this really great kind of personality aptitude test of things that you're interested in. In the middle, you can browse by career cluster. So if you're like, oh yeah, I know that I want to do something in education. Well, you don't just have to be a teacher. There's so many different things that you can do within any of these career clusters. And then if you have a specific career in mind, then you can search for that here. So will somebody please put in the chat a career that you're thinking about pursuing? And then Deborah, if you would tell me what one of those are.
Social worker.
Social worker, fabulous. So this is definitely passion and purpose driven. All right, so if I put in social worker, it's going to give me a whole bunch of things that aren't necessarily just, hey, just social worker. There's a lot of other things that you could look into that might be right along the same lines of service if you want to explore. So I'm going to click on the first one, which is usually the one that has the most relevance. And then you can look and see, okay, well, what is it exactly that they do? There's also a career video here that you can watch that will give you some insight. And then some knowledge, skills, abilities, what kind of personality traits are recommended for this, your salary, and your level of education. A master's degree is usually needed in career and social work. which, for $47,000 a year is, not a lot of pay for that. And so this is one of those careers where this is passion and purpose. This is not about, about the money. And we need people who have that passion and purpose to be in this position. All right, so please turn to page 43. And here we're looking at capturing some job research and some analysis. And so, you can go and research and be like, oh, this looks pretty great. But if you don't really stop to think about it and weigh it against some of those filters, then sometimes it's really hard to make a decision. So this is a decision-making tool and a data gathering sheet. And so I've taken high school into consideration, where I'm analyzing these on a scale of meh to amazing. And so you're going to circle one of the numbers, based on what you've researched here. Okay, so, perhaps the level of education or what it is that you're going to do, analyze it. Is it great? Is it kind of eh? And then there is one part that people get stuck on a lot, so I'm going to show you. And this is where it comes to job demand. So I'm going to click on this one down here that says see more details. And we're going to go to ONET. So ONET and My Next Move are sponsored by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And so this is really great updated information that will give you some great facts. So I'm going to click here on wages and employment. And it's going to take me here. So you can see by the state where you want to live some very specific wages. You can see some very specific trends when it comes to job outlook. And so it's a faster than average projected for job openings, and then 36,000 new jobs between 2018 to 28. So that is really a bright outlook. So that is a wonderful thing. All right. So there's a lot of pages of this. So I'm gonna stop share real quick, and I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna turn all the way to page 61. On page 61 is the final analysis. And so for each career, you have your scale of meh to amazing, and then you're going to really look at, okay, well, what did this really mean to me? And then you would add them up based upon the final score for each one. And then the career that has the highest score has made it through all your filters. So you're going to use those career values in there. You're going to use your strengths, and really look at it as, what does this really mean to me, and which one is going to be the best choice? And then you can focus on that choice. The best way to find out what you want to do is to go and see it with your own eyes. So turn to page 63. Once you've figured out what you liked based on research, you're going to go and ask somebody who's been there and done that. Job shadowing is so important. And if any of you are willing to, to allow somebody to job shadow you, please do that and be willing to answer questions. But go out and job shadow. There's a script here for how to set up a job shadow, how to, really ask somebody. Most people love to talk about their job. They love to talk about themselves, and most people are really willing to help you. So I can't imagine somebody saying no unless it's just absolutely, not in their schedule. Virtual is, of course, one of those things that we're using more often now, and not getting to see the environment is kind of a bummer, because go and put yourself there in that environment. See if you are comfortable. See what people are wearing. See what people are doing. See if they are grumpy. So we want to see what that's really like. Can you ask Dwayne Johnson? Absolutely. I love it. All right. On page 64. Page 64 gives you some suggested questions to ask, so that when you are kind of face to face with somebody, you're not just like, so tell me about your job. So we want to ask some questions and get some valuable meaning to that. So go see it in person, go talk to somebody, get some advice, get a mentor. All right. Please turn the page to page 67. I'm going to go back to this real quick. Oh, I forgot to show you guys something awesome. See, that's why I have this PowerPoint. All right. Sometimes I get caught up in what I'm doing. So you can use your network of family and friends to explore jobs. And there is something amazing that is in our Colorado Springs area only, and it's called the Pikes Peak Business and Education Alliance. And they have a website, it's ppbea.org. This is not in your book because this is a really new resource. Please write it down, ppbea.org. Put that on your job shadow page, on page 63 or 64. The Pikes Peak Business and Education Alliance is a new website that has tons of opportunities to connect with people who are really willing to share with you their career. This is a place to go in and look at opportunities. I'm just going to show you real quick how many there are. I mean, it's just crazy. So there's job shadows, there's information, and then there's trainings and apprenticeships, mentorship, internships. All of these things are just really incredible opportunities, and they're available to pretty much any of the school districts in Colorado Springs. So you can click on any of these once you've made your account, and then it'll give you the ability to go and shadow. And so you can find out all about this. You'll hit connect or apply, and then they'll share with you the information to connect you to somebody who is in our area that is willing to let you job shadow and ask them questions. All right. Does anybody have questions about any of that so far? You hanging in?
Christy, that is an awesome resource because many are interested in careers and don't know where to start. They don't know where to look. And that particular site can open up many opportunities to be on site face-to-face with someone who's doing that job. So
absolutely. And the people who are part of this network of people are really passionate about sharing what it is that they do, and oftentimes are able to point you in the right direction or to mentor you themselves. And of course, there's those internship opportunities, which is a great way to get your foot in the door once you are done with school or almost done with school. So what a great thing that our community is doing. And so it's just going to continue to grow and have a lot more opportunities. All right. So once you have nailed down maybe what your first career will be that you want to, pursue and prepare yourself for, then we're going to go to make an education plan. So turn to page 67. On page 67, it asks you basically what it is that you want to major in. Everybody is going to have some sort of general field of study or a focus for what it is that you want to learn. And the cool thing about this is that you probably like it. So instead of taking, a whole bunch of classes that you're like, oh my gosh, I have to take this, there'll still be a couple of those. But you'll actually have, things that you really want to learn about and drive you to succeed in, whether it's an apprenticeship or an associate's degree or bachelor's degree or whatever. All right. On page 68, go ahead and turn to that one next. And I want you guys to really think about what level of education you are willing to go through, and just be real about it. There's a ton of careers that you can go into with a high school diploma and a certification. So many of them. And so if you're interested in that, I'm going to show you how to research it and find those. Associate's degree, 2 years. A bachelor's degree, 4 years. Master's degree, 6 years. PhD, you're going to be a doctorate of something. You can be a doctor of anything, by the way. Just because somebody has a PhD, though, doesn't mean they can operate on you, right? So a PhD is a doctor of philosophy. And so they've done a whole bunch of research on something very specific. So if they're a doctor of philosophy and they've written a big giant paper, they come at you with a scalpel, run. All right, so an MD is totally different. In order to go to medical school, you're gonna have a bachelor's degree, take a test to see if you can get into the school, and then you'll finish there. So there's medical, there's law school, there's dental school, right? That's a whole different animal over there, right? That's not going through the PhD program, but you can be a doctor of something else by taking that route. And so that's called
Christy,
professional.
we have a question.
Please.
How do we find jobs which will pay for continuing education?
What a great question. So many times you can get into your like an entry level part of your career field and then continue your education. So maybe your entry level is, I don't know, requires an associate's degree or a certification. And then that company says, you know what, you have been a valuable employee and we want to pay for some of your education. There's so many different companies out there that have an education benefit as part of their benefits package. So for instance, you know, you get health insurance, retirement, and all that stuff, which is fabulous. But what about paying for, you know, your bachelor's degree or continuing a master's degree? I worked for university. I worked for Colorado Technical University and did motivational speaking for them. And I traveled to different high schools after I decided that I didn't want to be a reporter anymore, right? I still wanted to communicate. And so they paid 80% for my master's degree to continue education with them. So that's pretty awesome. Even places, Starbucks, Taco Bell, they have amazing benefits packages, and that's actually on my list to talk about today as we talk about how to get a job. So I'm pretty excited to show you where to find some of that. But great question. All right, so get a job once you have gotten a certain level of education. Go start working for a company, and guess what? You might not have to pay for the rest of it. That would be awesome. All right, cool. So as we look at, you know, different levels of degrees, different types of education, I'm going to go back to my slideshow because I want to show you something. All right. So we have this PPBEA, make your education plan. Pick what's right for you. So apprenticeship, vocational school is like a trade. Community college, university, and then of course the military is also another way to get your college paid for. All right, on page 70, just like we looked at career values, we're also going to look at college values or education values. What are the things that are most important to you in the place that you choose to get your education? Make sure that it's worth your while because it's not cheap. But sometimes it can be free. So we'll talk about that too. But anyway, so what are your top 5 things that you can also use as a filter as you look at your college research? So you're going to pick your top 5, and I'm going to show you how to find that information. Can you see, Deborah, can you see the, oh, whoops, I went back to the wrong place. I'm so sorry. Oh, here we go. Okay, so Big Future. So Big Future is through College Board. College Board is the organization that does the SAT. And so this is a really great resource right here. And that is going to be on page 72 in your workbook so that you know that you have this. Oh, my bad. It depends upon the version of the book that you have. On page 72, some of them say College Navigator and some of them say Big Future. Please write this down. This is such a better website. then the College Navigator on page 72. Please write down bigfuture.collegeboard.org to use this as a resource. All right, let's see. So you can search for colleges if you have an idea. If you have no idea, if you already have a school in mind, you can look here. But I'm going to search so I can show you how to find it. And you can use all these tabs along the side. So I encourage you to first start with your major, because if your school doesn't have a major, then don't go there, right? And so you can select that here. Say you're looking for business. And you want, I'm going to choose my location. I don't want it to be more than 100 miles from home because I want to stay close. If you live, by the way, within 60 miles of a college campus, they can't force you to live on campus, which, by the way, costs about $10,000 a year. If you live within 60 miles, then you can save $10,000 a year and stay home or live, off campus. All right. And then if I just look here and I say, okay, business, I want a type of school, maybe I want 4-year. And I'm going to close that. And then it'll tell me some different schools here. And I say, all right, I know UCCS, but I want to learn more. I click on it. And it's going to tell me all about it here in kind of an overall view. But I'm also going to see all the majors that they have. And I can see their student to faculty ratio. That means that there's 17 kids in a class to 1 professor, which is wonderful. Here's most popular majors. Here's all majors that you can look at. And it tells you what they have in this checklist. Okay, so you can really see what there is that's offered. And again, if they don't have your major, then don't go there. How much does it cost? Well, if you live on campus, room and board is $10,000. If you tuition and fees is around $10,000. Books and supplies and estimated personal expenses. And then you can use this calculate your net price over here. And then it also has how to apply for financial aid. So I do want to tell you just real quick while we're on this slide or on this this area about cost is that many schools have automatic scholarships. There's also a scholarships tab, by the way. Some of these places have automatic scholarships, which are based upon your SAT score. And so if you get, I think it's like a 1050, which is not very, it's pretty average. It's not very above average. And so they'll give you a $10,000 scholarship over the course of 4 years. So $2,500 a year to go there, which will help you chip away at this cost of attendance. Use the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. You need to apply you need to apply starting October 1st, senior year, in order to see if you qualify for some free money from the government. And it never hurts to apply. It is part of the application process as well to fill out the free application for federal student aid. And that will help you knock away some of this tuition as well. All right. Does anybody have any questions about any of that?
Let's see what, oh, never mind. Somebody put the chat in already. Well, the website for the job shadowing.
Oh, fabulous.
Thank you.
All right, cool. I just want to give you guys resources, and just spend some time going through some of this stuff and really looking at what is available. So, but please know that there's free money out there to be had. You just have to know where to look and how to ask for it. All right, so on page 73, there is campus visit. So almost like a job shadow, make sure to go visit where it is that you want to go to school. Make sure that you like the feel of being there. Walk around, see if it's, you know, a place where you feel comfortable, that you feel you're going to be successful. Talk to the professors. I see a chat that says raiseme.com for possible scholarships. Awesome. Speaking of scholarships, I'm going to have you guys turn to page 80. On page 80, there's some suggestions for FastWeb, scholarships.com, collegenet.com. There's just tons of them. I would encourage you to simply go on the scholarships tab at your university or your college or whatever and just search and see what they have. But here's the real trick. If you don't ask, you don't get. And so the number one reason why people don't get scholarships is they don't apply. They just don't. It's so easy to apply that some of these scholarships that are meant for certain people, say for instance, it's a scholarship that's meant for a man. Well, guess what? They had a whole bunch of leftover because men didn't apply. So women got it. I mean, it's just, there's crazy stuff out there for that. So you gotta ask. So if you don't ask, you don't get. So ask and you will get.
So
Okay.
just wanted to share, and I'm not sure where we heard this from, but there was a young lady who had applied for over 1,000 scholarships. And I think out of the 1,000, she only ended up getting money from about 20 or 25 of them out of all the ones that she applied for, but she got over $200,000 in scholarships.
And guess where that money goes?
Yep, she applied to 3 scholarships every week for a year.
There you go. Okay.
1,000 scholarships. 970 of them rejected her, but the 30 that did, over $250,000.
Wow. You know, and this money that, you know, if it doesn't go towards your tuition, it goes in your pocket. Right? So you can get paid to go to school. Make that your job. Apply for 3 scholarships every single week. And guess what? It will pay. And here's the thing that a lot of students tell me too, and they're like, oh, I got to write an essay for that scholarship. Well, guess what? If I paid you $1,000 to write an essay, I bet you'd do it. You've written hundreds of them probably for free. Think about that. All right. Okay, cool. So you have your career, you know, you've looked at your personality, your values, and you're going to research, you're going to job shadow, you're going to look at, you know, what are your educational options, pick the one that's right for you, find some money to pay for it, look around, explore, go talk to people in person, go and do a campus visit, analyze all that stuff. And then, dun, 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 you put all this hard work in, now you got to apply for the job. So we're going to spend the rest of our time together on applying for a job and getting the job. We're going to get the job. All right. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint, make sure I haven't missed anything. So there's bigfuture.collegeboard.com. Come on. All right, campus visit. The Common App is a great place to apply. By the way, if you want to apply to multiple colleges, I think that's in my book. I can't remember if Common App is in there or not. I'm sure it is. But you can upload one application and then decide where to send it to. So that's pretty cool. CommonApp.com, great resource. We talked about financial aid. You know, you don't have to take out a loan. You know, you can get some free money. You just got to be willing to work for it, right? If you do take out a loan, make sure not to take out more than you need and pay it back, right, immediately. Okay, so get the job. I'm really excited to give you guys this. So there are 3 things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about networking, creating a tailored resume and cover letter, and then preparing answers to typical job interview questions. So please turn to page 101. We're just cruising. So on page 101, talks about some different things in here. We're going to talk about the golden rules. One thing that I've added that I'm going to put in my new version of my book is really a lot about networking. A lot of times, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. I will tell you that you got to know some stuff, but it is really, really helpful to know some people. So how do you go about doing this? Well, start networking with your family and friends, and then even branch out farther. So what you're going to do is most schools have a career advisor or a career department that will help you with finding a job either while you're in school or when you graduate. You've got to utilize those things. So don't be afraid to go in and ask questions. Join some professional groups related to your industry. Definitely, with no doubt about it, get some job experience by doing some internships, doing some apprenticeships, doing some job shadows. Use that PPBEA. An internship is going to be where they're going to train you to do what it is that you're going to do, and sometimes pay you, but it doesn't matter. It's worth its weight in gold to get that experience. And oftentimes when you're done and you graduate from college, they will hire you because they've already trained you basically for free. So make a good impression, gain that experience. You can't just have a diploma or a degree and say you know some stuff. You've got to have that experience. You've got to have some people to back you up and help you. So start networking. Use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great way to go out and connect with people and connect with alumni. You know, someone is way more likely to help you if they went to your school and they, they've been there. They've known where you're coming from. Connect with people who know other people, and then that will help you gain that network. Build a professional website, build a portfolio, whatever it is that you have going on, so that you can show people and you can demonstrate your expertise. Does anybody have any questions about networking or anything to add to that? All right. So we're going to go to the 3 golden rules, and this is so important. As I talk about filters, right? These are things that we're going to live by as you apply for a job. So these are the 3 golden rules, and it's on page 101. Number 1, tailor everything that you do to make you the perfect person for the job. So first, you've got to find something that fits you. Know yourself well and apply someplace, whether it's a part-time job or your career. Have a reason why you want that job. If you have no reason why, then why apply for it? They're not going to hire you because they're going to see that you are just there for a paycheck. And so there's a world of opportunity out there, but you've got to be the perfect person for the job and tell them so. So tailor everything that you do, from your resume to your cover letter, to the way that you dress, to the way that you speak, to your interview. Rule number 2, never say something about something that benefits you. So it's always about how you can add value to the company, never about what they can do for you. And then the last one is always leave out the negatives. Focus on the positive things about you. Don't bring up things that are negative. Everybody has flaws, and we know that, but when you're applying for a job, that's not the place to bring them. Okay, this is where I want to show you some examples, and we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty of using our resources to make sure that this is very specific. Whoops. When we go to, I'm going to talk about researching the company, and I want to show you Starbucks specifically because I love their website. And I want you guys to, I'll come back there in a second, but I want you guys to think about what is it that is in their culture that you belong to? What are some of those specific qualities and skills that they want that you have? And then you're going to make yourself that perfect person by tailoring it to that position. And then you will be the one who's hired. Many people are very lazy and very generic about their job pursuit. They say, I need a job. I'm just going to go and scatter the whole world with applications, or I'm going to just, put my resume out there. Well, you've got to make it specific. And this is what's going to make you stand out. So I'm going to show you Starbucks as an example here. All right. So this is Starbucks website, and they, of course, everything on their website is all about selling you stuff. So it is difficult sometimes to find exactly what you're looking for when you're trying to do research. So you've got to usually go all the way down to the bottom. And under careers, we can look for, lots of these different things. We're going to look at culture and values. But first, I want to show you this because this is super cool. College achievement plan. And this is something that they didn't used to have. So we want to talk about paying for school. This is super awesome. So if you work for Starbucks and you're eligible for benefits, right, which is usually working at least 30, 35 hours a week. It just depends. You just have to find out what that is. But they will pay 100% tuition for a first-time bachelor's degree through Arizona State University's online program. What? How awesome is that? Taco Bell, again, has scholarships that they want to help students, get to where they want to go. There's so many different companies that have these things now that it's really incredible. You just have to know. So, whoa. All right. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to click on their culture and values. So whenever you're doing research, you want to know the company's mission, you want to know their culture, you want to know their values, because you want to fit. Now the question is do you want to work there, right? So again, it's not just about, oh, I need a job because they're going to pay me for my college, but do you fit this? You need to be authentic. So find a place where you can authentically fit in. Okay. So this is their mission: to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, one neighborhood at a time, right? Their values: creating a culture of warmth and belonging where everyone is welcome. Well, that sounds lovely. Delivering the best, holding themselves accountable, acting with courage and challenging the status quo, finding new ways to grow, being present. And they are performance driven through the lens of humanity. All right, so we know those things: culture of inclusion, you can read more about it. Their corporate responsibility, greener retail. They're sustainable, they give back to the community. They have training and development, right? So all these different things. Then we're gonna look at a specific job. So when you're doing your research, you wanna know what you're getting yourself into, right? And so working at Starbucks is different than any job. Featured job. So let's look at this. So say you want to be a barista, you want to make some coffee. All right, so we want to find some buzzwords. So our goal is to make us the perfect person for this, right? So you're the face of Starbucks. You're an important part of customers' days. You personally connect and create moments, and you bring the mission and values to life and proudly wear the green apron. So we want to find some of these buzzwords, and we're going to put them into everything that we communicate to an employer when we apply. So what are those buzzwords? What are those important things? So I'm going to go back to this. All right. Something that is often missed when writing a resume is something called an objective statement. And so there are lots of different schools of thought on how to write a resume. I think this is the most important piece. So we're going to turn to page 109. On page 109, you're going to write your objective statement, and it's something that goes at the very top of your resume, and it shows the employer exactly who you are and why they should continue reading your resume. It's kind of like an attention getter. And sometimes if you have an awesome one, they might not even have to look through the rest of it to be like, wow, I'm calling this person in for an interview. Your goal with your resume and your cover letter is to get the interview, and then you can wow them with your personal presence and talk to them in person. So here's some examples, and we're using Starbucks as our example. So here's a good one. Seeking a position as a barista in a coffee house where I can utilize my positive attitude and customer service experience to provide a quality customer experience. Okay, that's pretty good. You know, it shows some of those buzzwords, right? But this one on the bottom is great. Seeking a position as a barista in a performance-driven environment where I may utilize my welcoming smile and ability to work in a team to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. What? Awesome. So finding those buzzwords is going to impress the employer, the interviewer, and they're going to say, this person, first of all, is exactly what we're looking for. But second of all, they've done their homework. They've gone above and beyond, and they are worth my time. Does anybody have any questions about the objective statement? Cool stuff. I'm so excited. So use it. We're going to go back to, let's see, making your resume. And so depending upon what experience you have, you want to highlight all the things that you have and show that you're the perfect person for the job based on the things that you've already done, and kind of meld it into showing that you have what they're looking for. Any job that you've had can help you do that. Now, it doesn't have to be paid positions either. It could be volunteer work. So if you're like, oh, nobody will hire me. I don't have any experience and nobody will hire me because I don't have experience, but nobody will give me the job to get the experience that requires the job, you know, that they want me to have for the job that, you know, nobody will hire me because I don't have any experience, but nobody will give me the job to get the experience to get the job that requires experience. Yikes. So anyway, so volunteer, put that on your resume, do internships, do job shadows, get involved in clubs and organizations. All right, so I'm gonna go back to this. Hello. All right, so we're gonna go back to applying for our job, and I want to show you some resume examples. All right, so if you don't have a lot of experience, you're going to use a different kind of format for your resume. And so this is called a functional resume, and you can search for a template on Word or Google. Oh my gosh, I just forgot. Google Docs, you know, or any of those things, and you can search for these kinds of resumes. And so this one is really focusing on your skills and abilities. So if you look at the middle section here, it says management, sales, communication, and leadership. And so these are some ways to show the employer that, hey, I have these things, but maybe not necessarily in a formal work experience way. But it does stand out and say, you know what, I do know my skills and my qualities, and here's what I have to offer. Chronological is a very is very traditional, and so it really goes through, here's my work experience, here's what I did there, and then here's my here's when I did it. And so this is a great way to show that you have made progress and that you have kind of gone up in the ranks. Combination might be some experience, maybe you have some work history, maybe you have some qualifications. One thing I do want to tell you real quick is about applicant tracking systems. And so something that's really important to today's job search is that many of these resumes are being screened by software. And so they look for certain things. And what do they look for? they look for buzzwords. If they had that in their job description, if they had in the ad that that you were applying to, use exactly those words from the ad, because the software is going to screen your resume for those particular things. And then you'll be in the top 25% of the resumes that are chosen because of those buzzwords. Something else to consider is also, do not use tables, do not use pictures in your resume, because that software does not play well with those kinds of things in there. And so it needs to be a very simple format, and have those words so that that software and that applicant tracking system will pull yours out and give it to a real human being to review. Otherwise, your resume will not make it through to that real human. All right, so when we look at how to describe your experience, please turn to page 110. On page 110, there is a list of verbs, past tense verbs, to help you really describe what it was that you did in your job, so that it sounds good, so that it's not just completely redundant. You know, worked on this, worked on that, handled this, did this. You know, if you were a Taco Bell team member, you greeted customers while offering superior customer service. Right? We need to make it eloquent. Describe some of those qualities and skills that they want that person to have. Greeted customers with a smile. Greeted customers in using a welcoming tone. Completed accurate transactions at the register. Prepared, cooked, and bagged and served food. Maintained store cleanliness following safety policies and health regulations. A lot of these things came directly from the ad that is for a team member. So use those buzzwords, explain what you did at another place to make you the perfect person for this place. All right, what to wear? Here's the rule. We're going to turn to page 116. So what to wear to the interview? The rule is to dress one step above what's worn on a daily basis. And so if they wear a uniform, you wear business casual. Business casual is what these people are wearing in this example. It's just a nice pair of pants or a nice skirt with a nice shirt tucked in, plain, and some nice closed-toed shoes. So business casual. By the way, if you also notice, they're both carrying very simple bags. So a purse or just a binder, a portfolio that has your resume and your cover letter in it. Don't just, fold it up and put it in your pocket or shove it down in your purse, right? So we need to have those things nice and crisp in a folder that hasn't been beat up. And so you'll notice also jewelry. This lady is wearing one pair of earrings and then her hair is pushed back. She doesn't have on any bracelets or any of that stuff. This gentleman doesn't have a bunch of jewelry on. Wearing a watch would be a good idea, or like a Fitbit or something like that. If you look at her nails, they're also very, they're just all one solid color and they're not like super long. And her makeup is very minimal. Jeans, if they wear jeans, you wear business casual, right? If they wear business casual, you wear professional. So professional would be adding a jacket to this. And if they wear professional, you wear professional, right? So you wear like a suit that matches. All right. So since we are in the age of virtual, this is super important to, looking at how can we ace a virtual interview, because we know that, in person, you would shake their hand, you would look them in the eye, you would, sit up straight in your chair. But as we are in this virtual environment, how can we ace a virtual interview? So this comes from several different professionals around the world for anybody pursuing a job or career. So I'll let them talk to you about it.
Without a doubt, video dominates the digital space. The recruitment space is no different, and it's only natural that the use of video is rapidly increasing. Here's some tips from our recruiters around the world on how you can make the most of your time to shine.
Video interviews are not to be underestimated. Put in the same effort as you would a regular interview and dress the part. Choose clothes that complement your desired background.
Remember that BBC presenter whose kids marched in the middle of an interview? Film yourself against a clean background with no posters, cuddly toys, or anything that would shift the interview's focus away from you. A minimalistic background sets a professional tone and makes it easier for the interviewer to concentrate on you.
Give yourself time to test the equipment and connections ahead of the interview. A day ahead and later 30 minutes before the interview to set up. Check your Wi-Fi connection, your video camera, and microphone to ensure that everything is being captured.
Framing is an often overlooked aspect. The focus of the interview should be you and provide the interviewer with an opportunity to assess your energy, personality, and enthusiasm. A mid-shot is recommended and keep your gestures to a minimum.
It's essential to make proper eye contact. Find a balance between looking at the screen and addressing yourself directly to the camera. Be aware of your body language. Drop your shoulders back, sit up straight, and behave like you are in the face-to-face interview.
Video interviews are literally your time to shine. So you've got to ensure that the light is good so that we can see you, let alone assess you.
Practice.
We hope that you found these tips helpful. On our career site, you'll find more information about opportunities available and our application process.
We're looking forward to receiving your application. Good luck.
All right. So some great tips about presenting yourself. So, as they said in the video, practice. So, starting on page 118, there are some very typical interview questions, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but I do want to focus on a couple of the really, really important ones, starting with tell me about yourself. So once you have worked so hard to get into this interview, the first question they usually ask in an interview is, so tell me about yourself. And if you didn't know any better, you might answer this question incorrectly. And so tell me about yourself is not about your personal background. So if somebody said, tell me about yourself, and I didn't know any better, I might say, well, I'm married and I have 2 kids, and I love to go hiking and biking, and I don't know, I'm originally from Michigan, and I'm a Broncos fan, right? If I say any of that stuff, it's actually stuff that you're not allowed, the employer is not allowed to ask you, because you have fairness on your side and equality. They're not allowed to ask you where you're from, what your background is. They're not allowed to ask you if you have children. They're not allowed to ask you about your health. And so this is only a professional answer. So on page 118, I have kind of have an idea of coaching with 3 pieces. The answer to this question instead is, what are you doing now? And I want you to think about your most valuable experience that has given you some qualities and skills that would be relevant to the job that you're applying for. So what are you doing? Are you going to school? Are you volunteering? Do you have a job? And then what are those qualities and skills that would be relevant that could apply to this next position did you get? And then how can you apply them to this position in the interview? So here's an example. I'm currently a student, but in the summer I volunteer at youth camp. I've learned the value of teamwork. Now I'm looking for a job where I can work in a team to serve customers. Okie dokie, that one's pretty simple. This one is a little bit more specific. I'm currently working as a server. My favorite part of the job was interacting with customers. Now that I finished my degree, I'm looking for a position where I can use my education and the interpersonal skills I have learned. From what I know about this position, I think I'd be a perfect fit. So what this does is it paints you into the picture of perfection. And it says that you really know what it is that you have to offer, and it shows that you're really interested. How are you guys doing? I'm going to come back to you. Are you hanging in? Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Here is a question.
Please.
Should you keep your personal life out of an interview completely? If you are a single mom, should the employer know that you have obligations that may arise that will keep you home, like online learning or a sick kid? I guess I wouldn't want to drop that on them at the moment I start and my first day is remote.
Yeah, so don't bring up any of that because it has nothing to do with your ability, to be hired. I think that the world right now is really pretty understanding of, of situations, and you can work that out once you have this, this trust that you are the best person, right? So you're the best person for the job. It doesn't matter what's going on in your personal life. And so if there are things that you need, I know it's difficult, but try to find something that is going to help you with your situation, right? So trying to find that perfect schedule is so hard. I know, but don't bring up any of that stuff. Mm-mm. Absolutely not.
Well, one of the things I think it's important to, in any interview, is to highlight what skills, talents, and abilities you're bringing to the table, because employers in many cases will be flexible with you based on the fact that they know that you are competent in being able to do the job.
You add value to their company. And if you can prove that you add value, then there's a lot more flexibility in that for sure. Yeah, great question. Anybody else? I'm so here for you.
We have a question. We're wanting to know if this session is being recorded, so my nephew can rewatch it later.
Yep, it sure is.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
That works even more.
Absolutely. And so, and one of the things about the book is that there's a lot of explanation in there, so that when you go back, and I encourage you to go back and do this every time you have a new interview, is go back and write down your answers to these questions so that you're prepared, and then practice them out loud, because sometimes you have it in your head how you're going to say it, and then if you don't actually say it out loud, it comes out all blah blah blah, blah. And so practice it, not so much that you sound like a robot, but practice it so that you meet those three things. So what are you currently doing? What did you gain from that experience? And then how does it apply to this position? And so that's what the employer is really looking for. I saw a question in the chat. I didn't catch what it was though. Deborah, is there anything?
They were just noting that they had a phone interview and it was a make or break and hard. I'm not sure what part of it says. And hard, but if I look at it.
Let me talk about a phone interview real quick, because this isn't in there. A couple of tips about a phone interview is talk to yourself in the mirror. So if it's just on the phone and they can't see your face, go into, talk to yourself in the mirror so that you're talking to a real person, and smile. And if you smile, it comes out in your voice, and you will make such a difference by having that that tone, that excitement, and you can almost feel the expression instead of I'm so nervous and I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so that's important. The other thing is that you could have this available. at your disposal and kind of glance, oh, I remind myself, this. Don't read it because they'll know that you're reading something. But you can use that for some notes. All right. Ooh, any other questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And I think I'm only going to go through, I think there's only 4 or 5 that I want to share with you specifically and talk about. We don't have a whole semester, unfortunately. Okay, so tell me about yourself, and then there's some examples in there. Employers love to ask you behavioral questions. So be prepared for questions like, tell me about a time when, or tell me about what you would do if. They want to see what you would do in certain scenarios that have to do with that position. And so if you've ever had a conflict, they love to ask about conflicts. Tell me about a time that you've had a conflict with a coworker or with a decision that your boss made. The answers to that is always, having it be a two-way street. And, here's what the conflict was. Here is how I handled it. I listened, I asked questions, and then here was the solution that we had, and it was happily ever after. Don't ever, go into a thing where you're going to complain about a past employer. Never talk about, a negative experience because it will make them think, oh, well, this is going to happen here too. So try to think of something positive that happened, use an example, or if you've never experienced that, you could say something like, well, I've never experienced that, but here's what I would do in that situation. All right, so behavioral questions can sometimes be tricky, but you got to think about it and always have it be a positive solution that came out. All right, another question that is kind of a make or break when we talk about interviews is when they ask you, why do you want to work here? They might ask you, why did you choose this position? Why did you choose this company? And what they're really asking is, what do you know about our company and how do you fit? So make sure, again, that you do your research, do your homework, know about the company culture, know about what they do there. Never apply at a company without having no idea what it is that they do, because you'll have no answer and you have no purpose or passion for being there. So read their mission statement, find out which values that you have match theirs. Why do you fit in their environment or their team? What are those specific reasons that you belong in this place? What is it that you know about that company that makes you mesh? What is your passion and your purpose? All right, so an example of that might be, from Starbucks. I'm really into saving the planet. I love to recycle and all those kinds of things, and I really want to do my part. And so I love that that company is sustainable. I love that they really care about their community and that they provide such a welcoming environment. And so they might ask you, why do you want to work here instead of our competition? Why did you choose Starbucks instead of Dutch Brothers? Or on the other hand, hey, why do you want to work at Dutch Bros instead of Starbucks? And it might be because, hey, you've got the attitude, that it takes to really talk with people. If you go through the drive-through at Dutch Bros, you'll have a whole conversation about your whole life while you're waiting for your coffee, and you've got to be willing to be that person, to be like, hey, how's it going, and be super upbeat, and really love what they do. At Starbucks, that's a completely different vibe. You want to be welcoming.
Okay, here's a question.
Please.
If the company you are wanting to work for revolves around something personal, like your family, how do you answer without getting personal?
Interesting. So something about your family. If it's something that, where your family just, loves that and it's in your family values and that's part of their culture, you say, hey, this is really in my, in my passion, my living, this is something that it is my life. Great. You can bring that up. I think that's, you can make this be personal, but we never want to get into anything that would take you away from the job or anything that would be, something that you would tell your therapist, you know what I mean? And we don't want to get into anything too personal, if that makes sense.
So Michelle, did that answer your question? Or just take yourself off mute and.
Please.
Well, I guess it's being a single mother. I guess that's a huge existence. And I guess if a company is not going to accept me because I have a family, I guess I don't want to work for them. I guess that's where I come from. And I guess I've always interviewed and been very forthcoming about that. And I've never had an issue with it. So I guess I'm just struggling with, I don't sit there and like tell them my personal stuff, but I say, hey, I got kids. There may be coming a point in time where, I have to stay home and work remote because of that. I guess I would like that as a courtesy up front versus, like all of a sudden you're working for me and I didn't know you had children. That's just kind of, I guess, odd for me to, I guess, wrap my brain around. Or, I don't know. It's just hard for me to wrap my brain around.
I gotcha, and it's that comes down to, some honesty and integrity. And if they, if they appreciate that, that's great, but it's risky. However, if it hasn't been an issue for you, you must be, you must wow them, which is awesome. But I just, I do, I think it's risky, but it does say something about your honesty and integrity. So it's really a judgment call. But when we talk about, why do you want to work here specifically, this is really just about, why did you choose this specific company over another? And remember that it's always about how you're going to benefit them, not how they're going to benefit you. So why do you mesh, and why is that going to be beneficial for them is the answer to this question. Why should I hire you is a completely different question. And so you've talked about, how you fit, why did you choose this company? Have a reason, right, that you've chosen them. And maybe it's something that, you love, you go there all the time, or, you just know so much about them. But again, it's all based upon your research as well. But why should I hire you is really about your closing, right? This is your closing statement. And you're going to summarize why you're the best. And so this summary statement can look at a lot of different ways. And so I really want to give an example for this. And this is the last question that we're going to go over. So here is this from Snagajob, which is also a great place to look for positions, especially as a teen. So Snagajob. Write that down if you are currently looking for a job, especially if you are a teen. They have a teen filter when you are searching, which is really, really helpful. But anyway, this is a great video. It's kind of short, but check it out.
In this week's job search tip, we're going to go over the scary "why should we hire you" job interview question. We're going to look at it from a couple different angles and find out what employers are really asking. That's coming up. Hey guys, I'm Kim with Snagajob and welcome to Job Hunters, your weekly job advice show where we give you everything from resume tips to interview advice and everything in between. This week we're going to tackle the job interview question, why should we hire you? Now, chances are, if you do get this job interview question, they're going to ask you at the very end of the interview. It may be the last thing they say before they leave the room. So this is your last chance to leave a great impression and tell them why you would make the best fit for this position. So what you want to do is make sure you stay away from any real desperate sounding answers. You want them to be convinced that you want this job and not just any job.
Because I need a job so badly, and if I don't get this, I don't know what I'll do.
Because I'm awesome, and you would be really dumb not to hire such a rising star like me.
You also want to stay away from the really cliched answers that don't give the employer a good idea of why you want that specific position.
Because I'm a hard worker and I really want to work here.
because I do a really good job.
Employers really want to see what makes you stand out. Everyone says that they're a hard worker and everyone says that they can get the job done. So your best bet is to be specific and tailor your experiences to fit the job description.
I am very motivated and a fast learner. I love your restaurant and see that you guys pride yourselves on your customer service, which is something I'm really passionate about, which is why I think I would be a great fit for your restaurant.
I've worked in retail for about 3 years now, and I know what level of service customers are expecting when they walk through the door. My experience makes me a great fit for this position, and I know that my personality will fit in really well with what you've told me during the interview. Overall, I think I would be really successful in this position, and I think it would be a great fit.
So this is a great question to get remembered by. You really want to stress to the interviewer that you are the best candidate for this position.
All right, so I'm going to stop there. Some really great examples in that,
and will be a great
in that video. So there are several different questions that are posed as just very traditional kinds of questions throughout the workbook, all the way through page 23. And then at the very end of the interview, make sure that you ask them questions. So at the end of the interview, after they say, you know, why should I hire you? Or tell me one thing I should remember about you. Have at least 3 questions to ask them. And you can write those down and specifically ask them questions. And maybe this is where you want to ask about, you know, your schedule. You know, what are the hours look like? And that might be a time to really know if this is a good fit for you. So remember that this is a two-way street. You don't have to just be like, oh, you know, please accept me, oh king of the job. You know, you're wanting to, you know, invest your time in some place that you're going to be a good fit. And so this is your chance to ask them some questions. So there are some suggested questions on page 123. You know, could you describe the training program? You know, what is this going to be like? Am I going to be who's going to train me? Who's going to be, you know, my manager? Will I get a chance to meet them? What are some common traits of your best employees? That's a great one that shows that you are really invested in this and that you do want to be the best. You can ask them about their experience working here. You know, what is the current team like? You know, how do you see me fitting into the current team? What are the hours that you want to fill? What is there an opportunity for advancement? You know, those kinds of things. And so we never want to ask questions about salary. We never want to ask questions about vacation or benefits and stuff like that until you're offered the job. It's just one of those etiquette things that we need to follow so that it's not just like, oh, well, hey, when am I going to get paid? You know, you should have an idea based on research for the range of salary that you would potentially be getting here. So do your homework, make sure that you kind of know. And if they ask you, hey, what are your salary expectations? You can say something like, you know, for this type of position and for the experience that I bring, I would expect somewhere between, you know, 45 and 50,000 or, you know, whatever it may be.
So
that's
Christy,
a great way to handle that.
there's
Please.
a question. How easy is it for a 15-year-old to be hired or 16-year-old to be hired?
Well, I mean, that depends on where you apply, you know. So the thing about the applicant tracking system is that if you don't have any experience, it's probably not going to choose you through the software. And so my advice to you is if you are a young employee and you don't have a lot of experience, is to go in person, because you're way more impressive in person than you are on paper. And so when you go in, introduce yourself to whoever is there and, you know, be friendly. You know, say you want to go apply at Chick-fil-A or something, and, you know, you go in and you're like, hey, although they're closed on the inside right now. Right, maybe you want to apply at GameStop, you know, and you go in and you say, hey, you know, I love to play video games. I come in here all the time, and those kinds of things. And so you can ask them, hey, you know, how do you like working here? And then, you know, you can always, you know, get an application, fill it out, bring it back. Hey, I talked to so-and-so, and they said that this is a great place to work, and I'd really love to set up an interview. Is the manager around? So, yeah, I know that a lot of places they say, hey, get out of here. go apply online. And you're like, no. That makes it really, really tricky. I would definitely look around and see what the ages are of the people who work there. And again, use your network. Ask people that you know, hey, where do you work at? Do you like where you work? Maybe somebody can get you in. It's all about getting your foot in the door. But I'll tell you that your passion for something is going to help. So go to a place that you like to go. Apply in person. Have them see you. Dress nicely and make a good impression. And network.
The other piece also is sometimes volunteering can lead to positions. And your ability, if there's an area that you're really interested in, see if you can volunteer a couple hours a week. And being around that environment and showing your work ethic and being a fast learner and getting involved sometimes can then lead them to open up positions for you, even though they may not have even had a position available, but they like what they see in you. And that has been very beneficial to many that are underage with no experience, is be willing to volunteer.
Yeah, for sure. And those people know people as well. They might, if you show your work ethic and, all those great things that you've been doing and you're there giving your time, everybody knows somebody. It's really just about, it's a small world. So just make sure to remember that your reputation follows you. How you act in school, how you act in your volunteer service, how you act anywhere that you are, make sure to put on a good face, and that will help you.
Also, if you are the best time to get a job is during seasonal times. My first job I got seasonally. I was only supposed to be a seasonal employee, but I went in like Miss Christie said, and I was like, hey, and it was at a retail shop.
Yep.
And so I was trying to get the job, and I went and I was like, what if I sell something? What if I show you my skills? And I went and found a customer and I was like, hey, and I helped them out because I had been in the store and they purchased all this stuff. And so I got hired seasonally, but then I worked really, really hard during that. And I ended up staying on after seasonally. And then like 3 months later, I was a manager at the store. So it works. It does work. You can do it.
Go, Catherine. That's awesome. Good for you. So yeah, seasonally is a great thing. So there was a question in the chat about, what is the best first job? And the answer to that is any job. And I say that because no matter what, you're going to learn something, and that's going to help you in anything that you do. And it's going to be that foot in the door that's going to lead to other opportunities. All right. Well, does anybody have any other questions? I do want to kind of close out here because I could talk to you guys all night, and that's probably not something that we can do. So always send a thank you. By the way, this is always a good way to close out your interview. And so send a thank you for, through email or through, a handwritten card or whatever, but ask them for their card, and send them an email and say, thank you so much. I really learned a lot about more about the opportunity. I'm really interested in that, and make that last impression that's going to last. It's going to stick. So there's a template for that in the book. I think it's on page 124. And then when it's time to move on, also write a letter of resignation. So do it in advance, at least 2 weeks notice, and tell them thank you for the opportunity. You don't have to go into great detail about why you're leaving. Thank you for the opportunity. I've learned this and this and this, and I'm moving on to a new opportunity. So there's a template for that as well, and some more resources in the bibliography at the end. But I just want to thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope that you learned a lot and that you found something that you can use. And please reach out to me. I'm going to give you, let me share one more thing with you real quick. my contact information in case you want to follow up with anything based on what we did tonight, or if you want another copy. This is my website, thenextstep.site. When I went to it earlier today, though, it was kind of kooky. Something was wrong with it, but it should be fine. But that's a way to book another workshop if you know somebody who could use a workshop like this, or if you'd like to purchase more copies of the workbook. It is on Amazon. So if you type that into Amazon, the title, The Next Step, Practical Guide to College and Career Success, or there is also a link on my website. If you'd like to email me, my email is nextstep2 CAC, that's like college and career @gmail.com. Please reach out, and I would be so happy to help or to answer any questions that you may have.
I have a question. What's your opinion on LinkedIn? Do you feel like it's beneficial for like college students looking for internships, and for like adults seeking employment too? I know you can go on there and look for jobs, but as far as like, what's your take on like posting your resume and other companies reaching out to you? Like, how do you know if they're like legit companies and, that kind of thing?
Great question. So I think that LinkedIn has really just become such a norm that if you don't have a LinkedIn account, it just seems odd. So I would encourage people to have a nice profile in there. That's another way, of course, to network. And if companies do reach out to you, do your homework, research, get on, and sometimes there's even on Indeed, they have customer review or employee reviews. And so you can see what other people are saying about those companies before you go into, a back and forth with them. Anybody else? Great question.
Hey, well, thank you again, Christy, for the great information. That is certainly valuable. One of the things that I think is extremely important, and you mentioned this, is be careful about bad mouthing a company that maybe you worked at and you didn't like it, or you didn't like your manager, because everybody has a friend and everybody knows someone. And these circles are really small. And I know that I've been in situations where people have just been reaming out a company, and then to come to find out that the person that was standing in that same circle was that person's brother-in-law.
Can I say something on that too, Deborah, real quick?
Yes.
Social media. Never say something bad about a company or about a boss or anything like that on Facebook or any of the, email. I mean, anything that can be shared. I mean, the world sees it, and but then it's like serious proof too. It's like, oh, that's in writing, and it never goes away.
Yes. Michelle just mentioned it does come back to bite you. So just be careful. Even if you've had the worst experience, thank them for the opportunity and just move on, knowing that better opportunities, because you just never know the person that you're talking to, if they know that person at that company and they're saying, well, I certainly don't want them working here because of the negativity. But again, thank you.